Coming up on DFE News, former FBI Chief James Comey finds himself on the other side of the law as he faces federal charges. Also, a shooter opens fire on ICE agents at a facility in Dallas, Texas. And social media deplatforming is real. Clayton Butcher of Crosscurrent Digital has seen it happen. He'll tell us if that's changed under Trump. We've got news for you, those stories and more right now on DFE News. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on DFE News, news done right. I'm Jeff Kirk. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment so everyone gets to see DFE News. So much is going on. Let's get right to it. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted by the Department of Justice for crimes related to the disclosure of sensitive information. The DOJ announced federal charges against Comey Thursday, including making false statements and obstruction of justice. The charges stem from Comey's congressional testimony from 2020 when he defended his handling of the Russia collusion probe. Prosecutors say he lied to lawmakers about his management of that investigation. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the indictment reflects the DOJ's commitment to holding accountable those who abuse positions of power, and they will, quote, follow the facts in the case. On X, current FBI Director Kash Patel also reiterated that those who abuse their positions of power will be held to account, and finished by saying, no one is above the law. 2 weeks after a rooftop shooter ended the life of Charlie Kirk, another attempted to kill ICE agents at a facility in Dallas. Amid ongoing protests and unrest targeting ICE agents and facilities, 29-year-old Joshua Yan used bullets inscribed with the words anti-ICE to fire upon an ICE transport vehicle Wednesday, killing one ICE detainee and wounding 2 others before taking his own life. Vice President J.D. Vance, speaking from North Carolina, had this to say while addressing the incident.
It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement, because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
This is the second attack on an ICE facility in Texas in the last 2 months, as an Antifa group attacked a facility in Alvarado, Texas in July, injuring 1 officer. Nearly a week after he was suspended for making false statements about the man who killed Charlie Kirk, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel returned to the airwaves. After he said the MAGA gang was desperately trying to characterize the man who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, Kimmel was suspended by Disney, the parent company of ABC. The suspension turned out to be less than a week long as Kimmel returned to ABC Tuesday night. Reaction to his highly anticipated monologue was mixed, as he offered no apology, but instead said it was never his intention to make light of the murder of a young man, and that to some his comments may have felt, quote, either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point the finger, I get why you're upset. He went on to reference Charlie's widow, Erica, saying she forgave the man who killed her husband, which touched him deeply, and he hopes if there's anything we should take away from the tragedy, it's that. Kimmel did not correct his previous statement about Charlie Kirk shooter and also reiterated his belief that President Trump is the real threat. The major social media networks have a lot of control over what people see and hear on their platforms, and sometimes when they don't like what's being posted, they'll just take down the channels. We recently spoke with Clayton Butcher of Crosscurrent Digital, who knows this firsthand. Take a look. So, Clayton, how has your company, Crosscurrent Digital, been impacted by deplatforming?
Well, actually, Crosscurrent would not exist if it were not for deplatforming. So, you want me to go into the story now, or do you want?
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear how that came about.
Gotcha. So there was a book that with our audiobook publishing company, my wife and I have a couple different really small, just niche publishing companies. One is the Christian audiobooks, and one is more general market. And there was a book that I heard about. This is 8 years ago, and thought, I never want to have a conversation about this, but I think it's going to be an important topic that really the church needs to deal with, and families are going to need. I had no idea how important it was going to be. The book was When Harry Became Sally by Ryan Anderson. So it was sold. We did the book, the audiobook, published that, and was sold on Amazon for over 3 years. And then one day it disappeared, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. We as the audiobooks side were shocked. The print publisher, the author, nobody had any notice. And then Amazon just censored it one day, removed the audiobook, the ebook from Kindle, removed every single copy of the book, whether it was new or used, from every single seller, all across Amazon and all its subsidiaries. So that was a bit of a surprise.
Sure. How did that lead to the creation of Cross Current Digital?
Well, there's a pretty involved backstory, but basically, to long story short, really we felt God say, okay, now build a Christian conservative digital book sales platform, so that when this happens to other books that are faithfully biblical, even though that wasn't a Christian book, it did have a biblical traditional view of identity. And so it told us to build that so that when this happens to other books, the cross current was what came to be, would be in existence and would be a safe harbor for Christians, conservatives to get their digital books.
Wow. So why are Christian books, or even like you mentioned with that book, not expressly Christian, but does espouse a viewpoint that would be considered in line with Christianity? Why is that type of content such a threat to the mainstream?
Well, I think we know as Christians that we will have trouble in this world. You will have trouble, but we also have the promise that Jesus says, "Take heart, I have overcome the world." But that may not be at this moment, and so when truth is spoken and the culture is rapidly, the river of culture, if you will, which we are going cross current of, is just, I think I can say, hell-bent on destroying biblical identity, destroying everything that is the created order, male and female, that the truth has to be suppressed. And as Christians, we know that we are on, people say, the right side of history. I'd rather be on the right side of eternity.
For sure.
And so that's where we stand, is to make sure that we are holding to biblical values that the Lord calls us to. And again, the world doesn't like that, and doesn't like to be told that it is that really they are responsible to God for what they are doing. And
Yeah, absolutely. Think about some of the people you hear about who gets deplatformed or removed from these platforms. I'm thinking of like accounts like Libs of TikTok. Thinking the whole issue with Gab a few years ago. Even President Trump was kicked off of Twitter. Have you heard any other individuals or accounts recently that have had this same type of issue going on?
Depends on what you mean by recently. Until Trump came back into office, yes, there were a number that were still happening. Things have gotten better, at least temporarily, with some of the executive orders that Trump has put in place. And actually, our book is back on because after one of the executive orders that Trump did, that the government would not do business with businesses that denied biological reality. the author, Ryan Anderson, tweeted, said, "Hey, Amazon, does this mean my book is going to be back on your site?" And the incoming FTC chair quote tweeted him and said, "Amazon, I'd like to know the answer to that." And so within a few days, shockingly, the book was back up and currently is there. But we also know that it may not it may not stay that way. And just in general, as Christians, conservatives, these major companies, even though they're changing their tune right now, they're not changing what they believe. And as soon as it is allowed legally, I believe that this will start happening in earnest again with the deplatforming. There's so many, Nick Vujicic, General Flynn, Timothy Project, which is an international church planting organization, Susan B. Anthony, Live Action, Epic Times. So those are just the ones that have actually been removed from different platforms. And there's many, many more. But again, it has slowed down, at least to my knowledge, in the last 8 months, 6 months.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right that if we get once a new administration comes in, that we'll see a lot of those same old behaviors that we saw previously. I think we'll see them come right back to the forefront. I have no doubt about that. So when deplatforming does occur, do these big companies, tech companies, media companies, do they give any sort of warning to the user when they're about to cut somebody off, or is it just they flip a switch and you're gone?
From in our case, it was just to flip a switch, and we didn't even know that they flipped the switch. That was not, they didn't notify anybody. It was just gone when people went to recommend the book to their friends. And from my understanding with other situations, it's like with Nick Vujicic, it was Chase Bank said, if I remember correctly, you've got 24 or 48 hours to remove all of your money from our accounts because we don't want to do business with you. And so very short notice. And just in the last week or two, couple weeks maybe, Gab was pulled from other payment processors again, which is, I don't know, the 6th or 8th time that's happened to them.
Right.
And it was, you get a letter and then it's shut off. So you get an email and it's almost immediately shut off. So there's really not really giving time to prepare unless you already are looking at this and aware of what could happen and starting to what's the word I'm looking for? Starting to prepare yourself ahead of time for the possibility that may happen.
Okay, so are there steps that content producers can take to be prepared for when something like that happens?
Well, there's obviously different alternative social media platforms. Gab has been mentioned. Getter, I was just saying again, reminded of Marjorie Taylor Greene being removed from Twitter, so a lot of people moved to Getter. MeWe is another one. So there's a number of different alternative platforms. And as far as the video, you have Rumble, which is more of a free speech platform than YouTube or Vimeo. So there are things that you can do. A lot of people are just that are concerned about it are moving over to adding those platforms, not necessarily removing themselves from where people are, because while we're there, if you have a business, you still have to be where people are, where a lot of people are still going to find you.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely a good strategy to diversify and look for different things. Payment processors. We've got a great relationship with Pro-Life Payments, which is another Christian-owned credit card processing company. So that's something that we're looking to move to with some different entities that we have.
So that's excellent. So when people find that they have been shadow banned or deplatformed, in addition to the alternate platforms that you mentioned, let's say they decide that they want to take up the fight. What are the next steps that are available to them if they do wish to fight?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have a great answer to that question, aside from continue doing what you are doing as long as it is honoring the Lord and is good business practices. It's never a good idea to have all of your eggs in one basket, which again is one of the reasons that it's a good thing that I don't want to say it's a good thing our book was censored, but now there are other alternatives like Crosscurrent that did not exist a few years ago. 60 to 80% of all book sales go through Amazon, and so that's one thing that you can do to fight back, if you will, is to purchase from companies that have the same values as you do. So that's probably one of the biggest ones, and then. You can find those. Public Square is a great resource. We have resources on our website in like a couple dozen different industries that are Christian or conservative, where we know people in the company or know the founders type of thing. But spending our money with people that don't hate us, with people that share our values is very important, I believe. A stat that I heard recently, if I can take another second here,
Sure. Yeah.
in different communities. So you have the Jewish community, Muslim, Arab or Islamic community, and the Christian community, and where the business dollars go. So if a dollar is spent in the Jewish community, it is spent 14 more times before that dollar leaves the Jewish community. In the Islamic, the Muslim community, it's about 12 times. And then in the Christian community, it's less than once. And so we have a huge gap in that sense, that all of the money that we are spending on pretty much everything is going to companies that hate our values and would take away everything that you have if they could, in a sense, if they were allowed to, as far as your access to credit card processing, to your bank, to so many different things, social media. They want to be able to take your voice because they do not have the First Amendment values that, again, we believe come from biblical values.
Yeah, the power of that dollar going straight to Amazon really says a lot.
Right.
So some might say that as Christian or conservative content producers, that it is better off to just play the game and just try and say things that are not too controversial, so that we don't get censored, and then you can reach more people that way, because that's where the people are and you want your voice out there. Is that a good tactic to take up, or what's your opinion on that?
I can certainly see both sides of the issue. Personally, we do almost no business with Amazon, if at all possible, after they censored our book. That's not completely possible because there are some things that you can only do there. But so we have taken that line, but I totally understand. We still sell our books on Amazon. It's just the audiobooks, but we have it everywhere else as well. So we're not solely reliant on them. But we have to be there in order to be discovered by people that do not already know about us, that are not already looking for Christian content, Christian audiobooks. And so in that sense, and again, I'm speaking as the publisher, not as Crosscurrent. There's so many hats, it's confusing. But yeah, so we can definitely see both sides, but I would recommend to not soften the message and not change the message, I should say. Maybe soften an approach. However, biblical truth needs to be spoken and we need to hold the line on those biblical values.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it seems like right now we're definitely in a window where the opportunity to do that is wider than it has been for a while. So Clayton, tell us a little bit more about what's next for you. What's next for Crosscurrent Digital?
So we have Crosscurrent, as you know, Christian alternative to Audible and Kindle. how it works. Basically, it's a subscription. So if you think of the classic Audible model, again, have to reference Audible so that people know how it works, unfortunately, because they're the behemoth. But you get to keep a book and borrow 3 more books. You're getting 4 books a month for $15 a month, or double that for a family subscription. We also have church group subscriptions for churches, for businesses, nonprofits. If you think some of your viewers might be familiar with Right Now Media, so think of that, but for books, with over 16,000 books right now. Should be 20,000 within a few weeks here, and so there's a number of ways that you can engage. We have affiliate programs, so tell your church about us. Talk to your pastor, your board members or elders, and say, hey, this is something that we just found out about. It's a great resource for families. We curate everything so nothing goes against biblical values. And that's something that we are going to continue, holding the line on biblical values no matter what happens. We have some other ideas. There's some other industries that we want to be able to roll in to Crosscurrent, so that it's not only Audible, Kindle alternative, but some of the major other audio things too. But that's we have to have enough subscribers to be able to make that work.
Yep, absolutely. I'm familiar with how that goes. Well, Clayton, we've had your contact information on the screen, so people know how to get in touch with you if they have any questions. Clayton Butcher of Crosscurrent Digital, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has ordered all one-star generals and above from across the globe to gather at Marine Corps Base Quantico in Virginia next week. Very little is known about the purpose of the meeting, which has been described as rare and urgent, with some speculating Hegseth plans to emphasize a renewed warrior ethos as part of the name change to Department of War, or perhaps announce personnel cuts among the General Officer Corps, or strategic realignment among the military services or combatant commands. Hegseth said earlier this year he hopes to cut 20% of generals in the active duty force and National Guard. The order affects approximately 800 generals and admirals in all. I hope the hotels around Quantico are ready. We'll keep an eye on the Pentagon Pizza Index as well. That's where people track the average number of pizzas ordered around the Pentagon, and then when they see a spike in pizzas, they know something is going on. Well, for our final story, it's the time of year we've all been waiting for. It's Fat Bear Week. Well, you've never heard of Fat Bear Week? Well, buckle up. That's right. After spending the summer bulking up on their diet of sockeye salmon, the big boys on the Alaskan Peninsula will battle it out to see who will be named the fattest of them all in the popular online voting contest called Fat Bear Week. The contest first began in 2014 and is meant to showcase the resiliency of the brown bears who pack on the pounds each fall to survive the harsh winters. The reigning champion is known as Grazer, who is looking for her 3rd straight title. Voting began on Tuesday, but you can still vote for your favorite fat bear at fatbearweek.org, with the winner being announced September 30th. I hear the competition can get pretty hairy. Well, that's it for now. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, comment, and engage with us so that YouTube and all the socials push it out to more viewers. If you're interested in becoming a DFE News sponsor, you can click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Thanks for watching DFE News. News done right. See you next time.